The penthouse was opulent. It reeked of wealth. Detective Marcus Kane had seen it all during his years on the force, but this was different. The air hung heavy, thick with the metallic scent of blood. It was a slaughterhouse disguised as a palace. In the center of it all lay Victor Langston, or what was left of him. Langston was a giant in the business world, a philanthropist, a saint in the public eye. Now he was nothing more than a mangled corpse, his body a canvas of brutality. Kane, a seasoned detective, felt a chill crawl down his spine. He had seen his share of death, but this was personal. This wasn't just murder. This was a statement. The killer wanted to send a message. It was scrawled on the wall in what Kane knew was Langston's own blood. The crimson letters screamed from the pristine white wall, mocking the luxury that surrounded them. No mercy for the guilty. The words seemed to pulse, a macabre heartbeat in the silent room. Kane stared at the message, his jaw clenched. The words echoed in his mind, a chilling promise. He knew this was only the beginning. This wasn't just a murder investigation. It was a hunt, and he was the prey. Victor Langston, the man of the people. A generous benefactor, a champion of the downtrodden. His smile, plastered across billboards and newspapers, promised a brighter future. But behind that carefully constructed facade, Kane found a monster. The real Victor Langston was a predator who thrived in the shadows. His empire was built on a foundation of suffering, human trafficking, illegal arms dealing. The deeper Kane dug, the more filth he uncovered. Langston wasn't just a businessman, he was a kingpin. His influence snaked through the city, corrupting everything it touched. Witnesses clammed up at the mention of Langston's name. Files vanished from police servers. Someone was covering their tracks, silencing anyone who dared to speak against the fallen king. The message was clear. Langston's reach extended beyond the grave. The investigation became a game of chess. Kane found himself maneuvering around ghosts, fighting an enemy he couldn't see. But the more he learned about Langston, the less he was surprised. Some people deserved to die. The question was, who had the guts to deliver the sentence? The body count began to rise. Associates of Langston, people who had turned a blind eye to his dealings, started turning up dead. Each murder was a gruesome echo of the first. The killer's signature unmistakable. No mercy for the guilty. The words became a haunting refrain. The press had a field day. The Retribution, they called the killer. A vigilante cleaning up the streets. Public opinion was divided, but Kane knew better. This wasn't justice. It was vengeance, cold and calculated. The killings were too clean, too precise. This was a professional, someone with a military background, someone who knew how to make death look effortless. Kane felt a knot of unease tighten in his gut. He was dealing with a predator who hunted other predators. Fear, he realized, was a powerful weapon. The city held its breath, waiting for the next blow to fall. Kane, more than anyone, knew it was only a matter of time. The Retribution was always one step ahead, playing a deadly game of cat and mouse. The break in the case came from an unexpected source. A name whispered in the dead of night. A face in a forgotten photograph. Elena Reyes, a survivor of Langston's trafficking ring. Her sister hadn't been so lucky. Elena's story was a punch to the gut. She spoke of her ordeal with a chilling detachment, her eyes hardened by unimaginable pain. Her sister had been just a teenager, lured by the promise of a better life. The memory of her voice cracked, a flicker of the girl she once was breaking through the hardened exterior. Kane saw the rage simmering beneath the surface, the cold fire of vengeance that burned in her eyes. He knew then who the Retribution was. She hadn't just been seeking justice for her sister. She had become the embodiment of it. Elena was a ghost, a phantom moving through the city's underbelly. Her victims, men who thought themselves untouchable, never saw her coming. She was a whisper of retribution, a promise made in the darkness, and she was just getting started. Cain found Elena in a derelict warehouse, the air thick with the stench of decay. She didn't resist as he approached, her eyes reflecting the flickering flames of a nearby fire. She had the murder weapon in her hand, her knuckles white around the grip. He could have arrested her, he should have arrested her, but as he looked into her eyes, saw the pain and the resolve etched on her face, he hesitated. Was this justice, or was it simply another shade of darkness? The line between the two had never felt so thin. They deserved it, Elena said, her voice devoid of emotion, and Cain knew she was right. Langston and his ilk had escaped justice for too long. Their sins were written in the tears of their victims, the blood on their hands. In the end, Cain turned away. He left Elena standing there, consumed by the fire she had ignited. As he walked away, he heard a siren wail in the distance, a mournful sound that echoed his own turmoil. The case was closed, but the questions lingered. The retribution was out there, a specter haunting the guilty, and Marcus Cain, a man sworn to uphold the law, had chosen to let her be. He knew, with a chilling certainty, that the cycle of violence was far from over. There would be more victims, more blood to spill, because in this city, some sins could only be washed away in blood.